to refuse to admit that Indiana's a good football team is just like, it's just asinine. And this is why no one enjoys Ohio State fans. Speaking, by the way, of coaches who are just on fire, but like in a good way.
This is something we don't typically do with Wheel Route, but there were two things this past weekend that just felt like they deserved the spotlight.
Indiana is now verified and would like an apology from you.
They ain't gonna get it.
Indiana goes into Oregon and doesn't fluke their way into a win, straight up beats Oregon at Oregon. Something, by the way, that even Ohio State last year in their national title run could not get done. Indiana currently has a top 5 defense and a top 10 offense. I don't know what else. If you're not willing to give Indiana credence at this point, I don't know what else to do for you.
I'm just not.
And that's just such a foolish take. To refuse to admit that Indiana's a good football team is just like, it's just asinine. And this is why no one enjoys Ohio State fans.
Here's where I will give Indiana credit. Their defense has been spectacular.
You'll give Indiana credit across the board because look at what they just did.
Against Oregon, they had 6 sacks, 8 TFLs, 2 interceptions. Against Illinois, they had 7 sacks, 10 TFLs, and an interception against Illinois. They are top 5 in almost every defensive category in the country. They're fourth in points per game allowed. They're 4th in yards per game, and they're 3rd in sacks with 22. Their remaining schedule: Michigan State, UCLA, Maryland, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue.
Kind of skipped over UCLA there. Listen, UCLA.
Well, I was just going. I'm kidding. Don't get me started on trap games for them. But realistically, this is a team that'll most likely end the season undefeated. They'll be playing in Indy. It'll be a home game for them, essentially. A very interesting team. But here's where I start to think through things, because I look at the Oregon game, and I think Oregon's a good team. That's a quality win. But I'm trying to measure just how much, because I think leading up to this game, everybody was saying Oregon's a top 3 team in the nation. They're one of the elite teams that could be a title contender. And I'm looking at who they played, and I'm going, their only real big win was against Penn State on the road, who we just got done talking about as a dumpster fire, who just lost back-to-back games against Northwestern and UCLA. So now I'm thinking back, much like people do against Ohio State and Texas, where now you're looking back and you're going, okay, well, just how quality was a win at Penn State? Because the facts are the facts. They just lost to UCLA and they lost to a Northwestern team. Granted, UCLA starting to turn it around, but I'm starting to measure up those wins, because you can go off the name, you can go off the preseason rankings, and sure, at the time, Penn State was undefeated, but now they're not. Now they've got 3 losses across the board. So how much weight am I willing to put on that Oregon-Penn State game where it took them until overtime to beat that team?
But that's looking at, number one, that's looking at just transitive win properties, which does not work in college football. But then
I look at their Illinois win, and yeah, that's dominant. That was as dominant of a victory as you can. But I also found out this past weekend, Illinois just ain't that good of a team. They remind me a lot of Indiana from last year, where they didn't really play anybody. Any of the games that were tough games, they got absolutely smoked in. They're just not to that tier. Luke Altmaier is a great player.
So here's my question: Who do you want Indiana to beat? I mean, if you're going to take the route, which is absolutely ridiculous, if you're going to take the route that Indiana ain't played nobody, who do you want them to play?
I will give Indiana credit when they win the Big Ten championship, because they don't play anybody else on their schedule that's going to scare me.
Here's the thing, dude. You won't give them credit for winning a Big Ten championship, because you'll still say, well, we didn't play. If it's Ohio State, well, we didn't play our best game. Or if it's USC, it's, well, I don't know. That defense is weak.
I will die on many hills if they go out.
Indiana could go out there and beat the Philadelphia Eagles, and you would still say,
that is just not true.
Philly shot themselves in the foot too many times.
If Indiana's going to make the Big Ten championship game. I feel like that's just, I would stand firm on that. If they play the likes of an Ohio State, I would say if they beat that team, I will give them credit. There's probably some others, but I think realistically, just due to the nature of schedules, that seems like the likely matchup at this point.
That's just an utter lack of watching football.
I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole thing. I'm not saying that they are fraudulent. I'm just not willing to all of a sudden jump on them being an elite level team yet. The defense, absolutely elite.
I'm more fired up about this than I am going to be about anything else in this podcast.
Look, I will sit here on record. If they win the Big Ten championship, I will come on this podcast and I will apologize. But if they go out and they make the Big Ten,
you would come on and apologize if they beat Oregon.
When did I say that?
Last episode.
Well, I don't believe it. Show me the tape. I would never. I would never.
The Rivalry Podcast is part of the Varsity Network from Learfield and the River Podcast Network from River Radio Ministries.
New episodes out every Monday.
Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening right now, and follow on social media at RivalPod and RivalPod.com.
And if you like what you hear, share with a friend so they can listen too.